First up on the bulletin, let's tell you how the centre will be, in fact, before I get you that story, let's in fact tell you how after Pakistan Defence Minister's big admission on terrorism that Hafiz Saeed is a threat, still the centre will now be opposing a private member's bill which was moved in the Rajya Sabha recently seeking to declare countries such as Pakistan terror states. Well, Defence Minister Khawaja Asif, while addressing a security conference in Munich, had said that Jamaat-ud-Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed can pose a serious threat to the society. So the chorus to declare Pakistan a terror state has increased. It has been increasing for quite some time, and now we have Khawaja Asif, who's the Pakistan Defence Minister, saying that the terrorists aren't Christians or Muslims or Buddhists or Hindus. After all, Pakistan too has faced the brunt of the terror which has been emanating from their soil. And this after Pakistan Defence Minister's big admission on terrorism that Hafiz Saeed is a threat even now. Well, let's go across to Madhav Gopalakrishnan, our senior editor, who's joining us with more on this. No surprises there, Madhav. This is something that India has been saying all along. But the big question is, when will there be global pressure to ensure that Pakistan is declared a terror state?
Well, one thing that we must remember is that ever since Hafiz Saeed has been taken into custody, the whole idea is that, as far as India is concerned, the reason the Indian government has been very cautious is that this has happened on several occasions in the past as well. What actual action will be taken as far as the legal system, as far as the criminal justice system there in Pakistan is something that really needs to be looked at, because although this statement by a top minister certainly is a sign of the growing sense within Pakistan itself and the kind of growing international pressure on Pakistan to crack down on the terror infrastructure, the big question is this, that what action will finally be taken. We do know what has happened in the wake of Pathankot, what has happened earlier in the case of 26/11, why this realization now, and what action will finally be taken, because many a time we've seen Pakistan take one step in the direction of action against terrorists, but then take many steps backwards. So will Pakistan finally act? That's something that India perhaps will look at, and only then will take a call about whether the state and whether the government there in Pakistan is actually serious about cracking down on terror networks.
But is the government very worried about the diplomatic relationship that it shares with Pakistan? Is that going to be a hindrance in ensuring that Pakistan gets declared a terror state?
Well, we do know that as far as talks are concerned, certainly they are out of the way, and the government has said several times round in the past that talks and terror cannot go hand in hand, given the fact that there have been several attacks over the past a year and a half or so. So the point is just this, that as far as the Indian government is concerned, certainly, of course, they will wait and watch what kind of response is there from the Pakistani government side. They will, of course, be expecting that there would be action that would follow these words that have come in from a top minister. But until that action really takes place on ground, when it comes to Pakistan, clearly the Indian government is only going to be very skeptical.
Well, we are still waiting for something concrete. However, if you can, Madhav, elucidate the proposal which has been put forth by Rajiv Chandrasekhar. What exactly does it contain?
Well, of course, that is a separate aspect altogether in terms of, the way that India would treat Pakistan. Declaring it as an enemy country would, of course, involve not just communication between at the people-to-people level, but also, visits by formally of Pakistani delegations to India would make it that much more difficult. The big question is this, that while that may be one demand, of course, some a section of people also believing that it's a very strong view and a very extreme sort of view, that of course, people-to-people contact, trade, etc. should continue. The big question is this, that whether it is time for India to take a stand vis-a-vis Pakistan, given the kind of nature as far as Pakistan is concerned, refusing to act on terror. But of course, this particular statement coming in does seem to indicate that there is a growing sense within the government as well that action needs to be taken vis-a-vis the terror infrastructure present in Pakistan. But will that be followed up really with action? That's what everyone is watching out for.
Well, in fact, do stay on with us. Brigadier Mahalingam is also joining us, a strategic expert. Brigadier, what do you make of it? The Defence Minister himself has come out and made this big admission on terrorism that Hafiz Saeed is still a threat despite the token action that they've taken against him.
See, the point that we need to understand is that this is not the first time the Pakistan's people, the intelligentsia, the Senate, and the people's body have opposed and have known that Hafiz Saeed is a threat to the nation. Till yesterday when the former army chief, Rahil Sharif, was in place, unfortunately, the entire government machinery and the democratic machinery that they had were subservient to him. With the result, they did not know how to go about the issue. Because if they had indeed opposed the then army chief, they would have promptly disappeared from the scene. Having said that, the Pakistan's present army chief has perhaps given his signal okay with regard to the naming of Pakistan's Hafiz Saeed as a terrorist. The point that we must also understand is the private member in the Indian state, Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, has brought about a bill to declare Pakistan as a terror state. And imagine the sort of attitude that we have. The Indian politicians do not want to declare Pakistan as a terror state.
Absolutely. We'll just come back and discuss more about the politics behind all of this. But before that, let me also bring in Mr. Nusrat Ali, who's joining us, a Pakistani journalist. Well, Mr. Ali, it seems that even Pakistan's dropped all kind of pretense, openly admitted that Hafiz Saeed is and always will be a threat to society.
Okay, first of all, my name is Nusrat Amin. I would love to have another name with Ali, but my name is
sir.
Okay.
Mr. Amin,
actually, it's just fine. It's just fine. Actually, what Mr. You are referring to the statement of Pakistan Defense Minister, which he delivered in. Yeah, actually, as a journalist, what I have observed in his statements is the issue of credibility. Does he continue to keep his policy in the years in the days to come? In the years to come, that is the biggest question. What pressure Khawaja Asif has been receiving right since taking oath as a minister? Yes, this is what we all can understand. He's a defense minister and he has to deal with Pakistan Army, the most powerful quarter in Pakistan.
Right.
But so many times in these 3.5 years, or maybe approximately 4 years of Nawaz Sharif's tenure, we have seen Khawaja Asif giving a statement and then retrieving. So if whatever has just happened regarding Hafiz Saeed, personally I believe it is out of the Trump's pressure, the Trump's government's pressure. And definitely India has played a vital role in that. This is what I personally believe. But what Khawaja Asif is saying, if this is a paradigm shift or it's the new policy that is being introduced by the government of Pakistan, then we have to see how much and for how long they continue with it.
Now, Mr. Amin, we've often seen that when it comes to Pakistani politicians, specifically people such as Khawaja Asif, they would say one thing and do another. Can we really take them at face value?
Let's see what.
They'd often like to try and build a worldview which isn't exactly based on what's happening on the ground.
Yeah, actually, I have started from this point. What you have just mentioned. Okay, the foremost thing connected to Khawaja Asif is the credibility. He is not a man we can trust, frankly speaking. We the journalists in Pakistan cannot actually blindly trust what he says. He has a different mind. He has a different personality any other day. But what you have said about the politicians in Pakistan, okay, what they don't do actually what they say. So I think this phenomena is not only limited to Pakistan. This is something that happens everywhere in this world. But yes, there has to be a consistent policy. There has to be a firm decision if you actually are out to eliminate terrorism in Pakistan.
And that, unfortunately, seems to be a very long cry, isn't it? In fact, Brigadier, if I can bring you in as well, Nusrat Amin has been explaining to us how we can't really take Khawaja Asif as his face value. He's known to have said one thing and done another, even retract his statement, this big admission on terror. How much should we be reading into it? And yes, the role that Indian politicians are going to be playing in it, considering a private member of the Rajya Sabha wants to pass sanctions against Pakistan, but then the government itself is scuttling it.
Absolutely. I agree with the Pakistani journalist as far as Khawaja Asif is concerned. Khawaja Asif is a very wishy-washy man, and as far as I can see, it is quite possible he was under pressure by the Pakistan's army. In fact, he was not a full-fledged Pakistan's Minister of Defense. He was actually looking after a different department of water and things of that nature and power.
Right.
And this man has been given a sort of a secondary role as a defense minister without a job, because Pakistan's military has all along been handling the defense ministry's issues. Now, as regards the Indian politicians are concerned, Rajiv Chandrasekhar's the private members bill is a step forward towards, in fact, assisting Pakistan to bring about normalcy. And let us understand one thing. India is doing that with a very good intention. That is an intention to put pressure on the politicians and to see that they can sort of act based on this sort of a pressure. Because at any point in time, Indian government can withdraw this as soon as they get to know that the intentions of the Pakistan's governments as also the military is genuine. So therefore, as far as I can see, the Indian politics and Indian politicians play a very, very dubious role. Every time they keep looking at their own personal interest and their personal agenda. I think that it is time, at least in the matter of India-Pakistan relations, they will have to give that up.
Well, in fact, Madhav Gopalakrishnan, who's also with us, it's quite interesting. We are getting reactions from both sides of the border, and it's quite interesting in the very fact that Nusrat Amin has very clearly said that Khawaja Asif is a man who cannot perhaps be relied upon. But can we really rely on our own politicians here, Madhav? That's the question.
Well, of course, a number of questions that would be raised time and again as to really what the intent would be as far as political leadership is concerned. But in this particular case, the fact is this, that, the actions of Pakistan vis-a-vis cracking down on terror in the past have been far from satisfactory. We saw the kind of situation post-26/11 where dossier after dossier was being sent and no action really was taken by the Pakistani government. Of course, things have changed since at multiple levels, not just in terms of leadership within India or Pakistan, but even when you look at it from a global stage, clearly the Trump administration coming in, many look at that as being one of the key reasons that there is an increasing amount of pressure on Pakistan to now crack down on terror infrastructure that is homegrown. And that's certainly why there is, of course, a lot of at least one can say increased speculation about whether Pakistan is actually going to walk the talk in terms of cracking down on terror. But as the skeptics within Pakistan themselves would say, that actions of the past certainly don't seem to indicate that there would be any kind of concrete action. There may be this sort of situation where he's taken into custody, but that's happened several times in the past as well. Actually prosecuting him, putting him into jail, that's quite a different process. Will the Pakistan government actually carry that out? That's something that perhaps we need to wait and watch out for. Not just Hafiz Saeed, all such terror groups emanating from Pakistan. Can we expect to see, some kind of concrete action like that taking place? That's perhaps the only sign that Pakistan would be serious on cracking down on terror within its own soil.
Well, in fact, Brigadier, if I can come back to you, what should be the way forward for India? We have been giving dossier after dossier, as Madhav has pointed out. However, in the long run, nothing really has changed on the ground. What should India be doing? Are we running out of options?
See, no, we are not running out of options. I think
are we shying away from the options?
No, what is required is we need to continue to maintain the pressure with a very clear view that in case the Pakistan's government and the military changes their attitude, we need to change our focus also. Because with Pakistan being a neighboring country, we need peace in Pakistan. we need to maintain peace. To that extent, we have got to understand what is going on, and what I would exactly say is maintain pressure and sort of wait and watch.
Wait and watch seems to be a policy that at least we'll have to employ as well. Wait and watch as to what the government does next. Do stay on with us, Brigadier. In fact, let's listen in to Khawaja Asif himself when he speaks about Hafiz Saeed and him continuing to be a threat to the society.
We'll counter this threat with full might of our state. And we expect and hope that there'll be cooperation from our brothers across the border from Afghanistan, because it's a common fight, at least when it comes to our own region. It's a common fight for the mankind, for humanity.
Well, in fact, let's listen in once again to the Pakistan Defence Minister.
We'll counter this threat with full might of our state. And we expect and hope that there'll be cooperation from our brothers across the border from Afghanistan, because it's a common fight, at least when it comes to our own region. It's a common fight for the mankind, for humanity.
Well, that's one story we're going to be tracking very closely here on NewsX. But for